Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Does budgeting scare you? You know you should do it, but you're not doing it. Well, my guest expert today is going to help you in this area. Her name is Asley Patrick. She is a Ramsey Solution Master Financial Coach and blogger at the Budgets Made Easy. Asley helps families eliminate debt so they can stress less and live the life they want. She was a previous police officer and detective for 10 years before starting her own business. Asley was able to stay at home with her kids after paying off $45,000 in debt in 17 months. Asley, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
What got you into budgeting? Because most people arrive at this place because their life was not working.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long process. I've always kind of had a general budget. My mom always had a budget, but I didn't really learn how to budget the way that I teach and how Dave Ramsey teaches until about 2015. But, and it was through paying bills late and learning how to figure out when to pay what bills. And that seems to be what a lot of people I speak with struggle with. I would just pay things and then whatever was left over, I would just spend. And,
so you're talking about having no plan for your money.
Exactly. So, I just kind of went with the flow and just kind of learned, as being an adult and, figuring out bills and that kind of thing. And then in 2015, I don't know if you want me to tell my whole background story,
yeah.
But in 2015, I came across Dave Ramsey in the zero-based budgeting, which I can explain what that is, and the debt snowball. But basically what happened is my husband and I had a couple years before had bought our dream home. We only had one child at the time. But then we found out we were pregnant with our second child. And the way the house was laid out was just not functional for a family of three. It just wouldn't work. So we needed to do a renovation. It was fairly easy renovation, but it cost us almost $25,000. And we talked to a bunch of people that said, take out a 401k loan. It's your money. It's a low interest rate, yada, yada, yada. It's a great thing. Well, so we did that and had our second child. And then basically a month after I go back to work for maternity leave, my husband lost his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened with that 401k loan, because it was out of his account, we had 60 days to pay back. I think at that point it was still $20,000.
Yeah.
We couldn't do because, he was the primary breadwinner. I was the detective, so I didn't make that much money. And the money was already spent at that point, and we hadn't paid much of it back. So we didn't do anything with it. Well, then the following year in 2015, we owed a ton of thousands of dollars to the IRS. It ended up being $6,500 when we should have got back over $4,000. So it ended up costing us $10,000 just in taxes. It was insane.
Yeah.
So I put that money on a 0% interest credit card for 18 months to pay the IRS. And then I realized I didn't have a plan to pay this off in 18 months. I think it was around $6,500 is what we ended up putting on the credit card between the fees and everything. And I was like, how am I going to pay this back in 18 months? So I started searching and came across Dave Ramsey. And then not only did I pay off that credit card before the 18 months, but we paid off all of our debt except the mortgage before the interest would have accrued on that credit card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So tell me this, because anyone listening today is going to be like, wow, how did she do that? How did she pay off $45,000 in 17 months? That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. And it took a lot of motivation. It took a zero-based budget, which is planning every single dollar. So before, like I was explaining, I would just write out my income and my bills that I had to pay. And then whatever was left over, we just spent food, gas, eating out, just pretty much whatever we wanted. We were a dual income family at that point with 2 kids. So, we had extra income. And so whenever I came across the zero-based budgeting, you plan every single dollar. So we started doing that.
What do you mean by zero-based budgeting? What exactly does that mean?
That means that on paper, at least at the end of the month, you will have $0 left. So you plan every single dollar. So it'll go toward things like saving, if that's what you need to do, paying off debt, Christmas gifts, like things that don't necessarily come up like on a monthly bill.
Right? How does somebody, with their money, right? Are you doing this monthly, weekly, yearly?
What I do is I do a monthly budget and then I break it down by paychecks. And at the time it was weekly because my husband and I would get paid opposite weeks. So we got paid every week. And now since I'm staying at home, I just do it every other week. So it just depends on how you get paid. But basically I did a budget for every single paycheck. So I would know what to pay, how much food and gas, and how much could go to debt for every single paycheck instead of just a general monthly budget.
So it's kind of like planning ahead.
Yes. And how it works is, and it's kind of hard to explain without like actually showing it on a calendar, but I would write out, or I still do, I write out the day on the calendar when my paychecks are and when the bills are due. And so now my budget is pretty simple because it's just pretty much the same every single month. I mean, each month is a little different. So you do have to do a budget for every month, but generally speaking, most of it is the same month to month. So I'm just in the habit now of knowing when to pay which bills. But the bills that are due at the end of the month, like say the 15th through the 30th, 31st, whatever, get paid out of the first paycheck. Then the second paycheck of the month pays the bills at the beginning of the next month. So you are ahead a little bit on your bills, but then you don't end up paying bills late. Because that's what would happen to me is I would, like on the months where the first paycheck is like the 14th or something, I may have a bill due before that. And so I had to get in the habit of paying the stuff at the beginning of the month out of the last month's paycheck.
Yeah, and how does this help you clear 45,000? Okay, you're planning your money now, right? You're paying your bills on time. You're planning ahead with your money. So, like the way you said, the 15 to 30 a month is paid with the first paycheck, and then the second paycheck pays the beginning of the next month. Was that right?
Right. So with the budgeting was the one that was like the foundation of paying off all of our debt. So basically what was extra went toward paying off debt. And then we found ways to cut expenses, and then we found ways to make extra money. So like my food budget, before I started tracking expenses and actually paying attention to where my money was going, I was spending $1,200 a month on food, like eating out, fast food, groceries. I mean, we were spending so much at the grocery store, but then still eating out. So then we were throwing stuff away too. So that was like one of the first things we did. And I cut that in half. So now it's $600 a month for our food budget. And typically I spend less than that. And then whatever is left over, we'll have fast food or whatever. I do restaurants every now and then. Like if I know something's coming up or, we want to plan a date.
When you bring this up, right? A lot of people don't budget, or they're afraid to budget, or, you're told to be frugal. People are afraid that they'll have no life.
Right. But you have to just budget in the fun stuff. You don't have to just sit at home every weekend doing nothing. A budget is just telling your money where to go. You get to decide where it goes so you can still have fun. Now, if you want to get intense about it and do it faster and faster, like paying off your debt, then you can cut it out. But don't do it all at once. Like you just can't go cold turkey like that. So what I typically tell people is if you like to, let's just say you like to go through the coffee drive-through 5 days a week, cut it back to 4, then cut it back to 3, then cut it back to 2, just gradual steps.
Gradual, yeah. Because I was about to ask you about that, because a lot of this is developing the self-discipline and the habit, and that's where people struggle.
Exactly. And it can take up to 90 days to develop new habits and get in the routine of doing your budget. So, especially those first couple months, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to under budget for things. You're going to over budget for things. That's the time that you're going to learn and figure this stuff out and how much to set for certain things like fun and food and gas and eating out and all that kind of stuff. So, just give yourself time and cut yourself some slack as you're learning. I mean, I still make mistakes on my budget, like in my checkbook. Actually, like last month, I made a huge mistake because I wrote my checkbook register. I wrote down my mortgage payment, but then when I was doing my balance on the side, I totally skipped a line and screwed it up. So I had to take money out of savings to just pay my mortgage last month, because even I still make mistakes. Things are going to happen, and that's where savings and emergency fund, come in to save you when you screw things up like that, unintentionally. But yeah, so getting back to paying off the debt and the budgeting, the cutting expenses is huge, but don't do it, all at once. Take gradual steps to get there, to keep yourself motivated. Because if you're not motivated, if you're not having any fun, you're not going to stick with it. You might do it for a month and then just be like, oh, well, this sucks. I don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So, just take little baby steps. And then some other things that we did besides cutting expenses was selling things and making.
I'd like to talk to you about that, right? So you hear a lot about budgeting, and I've heard a lot about cutting expenses, and it does. Like, I'm cutting expenses right now, and I've made massive over 1,000. Like, you can make massive difference by cutting expenses. People can do a lot more than that, but extra cash, right? I have found trying to get in extra cash that sometimes the amount of work that's worked for the amount of money I get is not working. So what's a good thing to do to get extra cash in? Like, how do I get good at this? Because a lot of people struggle to bring in more income.
Well, it can be a struggle. Even I will sell a lot of the kids' stuff, like toys and clothes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because my house gets overrun with it. Right. So a lot of times I will wait until around October, and they sell so much better, because Christmas is coming up and people are busy during the summer. So sometimes sales might be slow. And then in the holiday season, a lot of businesses are hiring for seasonal help. So that's some ideas as well for making extra money. What we did is, my husband is a mechanic and fabricator by trade. So he would work overtime, and then he would work a lot of side jobs, like doing extra work for people. Because with my job, I wasn't really able to work a lot of extra or overtime. So that was kind of on him. And we were able to sell a couple of big ticket items, like a trailer and a four-wheeler, which for anybody that knows my husband knows that this was a huge deal. He doesn't sell anything. He doesn't get rid of anything. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's just so much stuff. And so he actually sold a couple things. That's how on board with the plan he was. So, he saw the progress that we were making, and it took a while for him to get there too. So, where I just jump right into things and I get so excited and I just want to do it all right now. I want to pay everything off right now. He's more like, okay, she'll be over this in a month or so. I'm just going to go along with it. He just goes along with my crazy ideas, and he knows I'll move on to something else. But once he saw, it really took time to change his mindset.
I actually want to talk to you about that, because for a lot of people, right, perhaps they're listening to us today, Asley, and they get it. They want to do it, but sometimes their partner is not on board. How do you get, you both do this together? How did you get to that place?
Ooh, well, it took some time and a very long road trip in the car, playing Dave Ramsey podcasts for 18, 20 hours in the car, and just listening to that over and over. Finally got him there. But, it's, listening to different people, dreaming together. Your why needs to be a big reason. what you are doing. Otherwise, it's hard to stay motivated. So, it can't be, well, I just want to pay off debt or I just want to save money. It needs to be, I want to pay off X amount of dollars in X amount of time. And then why do you want to do that? Do you want to go on a cash vacation that you paid for in cash before you even leave? We went to Disney World, all paid before we left.
Wow.
Do you want to, retire? Are you getting close to retirement age and you want to be able to relax and not have to work till you're 90 something years old? Do you want to travel across the country in an RV? Just get on the same page about what your dreams and what your goals are for doing this, and then work towards it and just dream together. We also had visuals. So I just hand drew it, but of course you can go online and print some stuff for free or pay for some, but it was just a thermometer for our last debt, which was my student loans. It was the biggest debt. So just as I paid it off, I colored it in and you just see it, going and going and going. And so having visuals, you could even do like a dream board, make a board where you both can see it with, the pictures of the beach and boats and, whatever your dream is, of course, just make a board of it. So you can kind of help motivate yourself, keep yourself going on the string, because it's not always easy. I mean, you'll have times where it's like, yes, I'm making progress. And then other times it's like, oh my God, this is taking forever. I just want to be done. So, and then the other one can kind of help keep you on track, where if one is struggling one day, then the other can struggle a different time and you just keep each other going. That's the important thing, is to work together on it.
I have one other really big question to ask you. Asley, you're like myself. I'm a mom, right? And sometimes when we have kids, we're at home and the husband, the partner, is the breadwinner. How does somebody in that position influence the breadwinner to be like, look, this is a good idea, this is going to change your lives? And maybe you've mentioned this already in our previous conversation, but I know there's women listening to this. They're at home, they want to make the changes, they want to clear their debt, they might not necessarily be bringing in the income. How can they make financial freedom or budgeting a priority so that they can live the life they want to dream?
Well, you really should be working together.
Yeah.
On what your financial goals are. Now, I know sometimes the dynamics in the relationship don't always work that way. And if you get too extreme with it, marriage counseling,
because money's a big issue with couples.
Exactly. So, like I said, dream together, bring it up and just do it slowly. And, you could even do what I just did the budget and everything. And then I would show it to him, like have budget meetings, but that, you can still do most of the legwork and then you agree together on where the money will go. Or your partner may want more say so and you do it together. So just finding what works for you and doing it. It doesn't have to be exactly what I did or what Dave Ramsey says or anything like that. It's really finding what works for you and then just doing it. That's what's going to get you the furthest, is just going. So if you're trying to get them on board, have a budget meeting, go out on a date night and talk about, what your goals are for, this year, this month, this summer, whatever it is, your big goal, and then break it down into smaller goals, and just talk to them about it. And then you could, what I did too, another thing that I did, I just thought about this, is I would, do a spreadsheet and I would do debt snowball calculators. And I would say, okay, well, if we do this, this, and this, we could have this paid off, in this X amount of time.
So kind of like selling the dream.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Because most people don't even believe that it's possible. So if you do the legwork and do the spreadsheets or, run the numbers and say, okay, well, if we do this, we could actually have the car paid off in like 6 months. How cool would that be? Then we could take that money and, go do whatever and then get back to the next thing. Celebrate the little successes. If that's what gets your partner on board, if it's, I know around here, they may want a certain tool or, something for their car that's maybe $200-300, whatever it is. Say, okay, well, if we pay off the car and then we have this monthly payment, we can buy this. Is that enough motivation to keep going? Or something like that. Just find something small that you can celebrate each win as well. And then, of course, when you're done, and then you can have the big celebration and move on to the next big goal. But just finding something that will help motivate your partner, whatever that may be.
I love that. And what else as well I would say to people is start from where you're at, because once he starts to see the changes happening in you and things starting to work out for you, he'll be interested.
Oh, yes, that's so true.
And I love the way you said, do the legwork. If we do this, we could have this. And, when you get to that place and they see the little wins and things like that, I love it. I had so much to ask today. We almost skipped over everything. And I'd even love to go deeper into the snowball budgeting or the snowball debt clearing. But you have inspired me. The more I hear about budgeting, the more I get it. And I'm doing a financial freedom program and all that stuff. And, I'm walking the talk, but I'm on my way. I'm at baby stages. But,
hey, you just got to start and keep going.
But the budgeting is something I need to just stop. I have been procrastinating on that for a few months. So, the more you hear, and this is why I started this podcast, because you cannot hear this information enough. The more you hear this, the more you realize, this is what these experts are doing. This is what's working for them. And this is why it's working for them. This is why they're financially free. This is why they're doing the things that you're not. And I love that you've come on here today and inspired everybody, do that budget, make the plan, clear those bills and clear your debt and go do what you really want to do with life.
Well, thanks for having me.
Asley, before we kind of wrap it up, for anyone who's listening to this today, they can see that you walk your talk with budgeting. They really want to do it. They really want to change how they're living their life. What's that kind of one thing you want to leave them with?
To just start.
Yeah.
I know it can feel overwhelming and it's easier in the short term to ignore it and just not want to deal with your budget. But I promise it gets easier, especially once you get in the routine and get it down, because it's pretty much the same month to month. So just start and then just keep going. Like just take little baby steps. It doesn't have to be a huge dramatic change at first, especially when you're still learning. You just have to start and just know that it does get easier.
I love it, Asley. How do we find out more about you?
You can go to budgetsmadeeasy.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook and Pinterest and all the things at Budgets Made Easy. And you can check me out there.
Thank you, Asley. This has really been excellent. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Remember to join us in the Private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.